Euros, so I thought it's only right that we do our Copa America predictions. So I know they're starting like a little bit later, they'll be starting about next week or so, but of course the Euros are starting soon, so I wanted to make sure I get this done before the Euros come out or begins. So we are doing our Copa America predictions here. We're going to predict the groups, and then we're going to go into the bracket and predict my winners for the 2024 Copa America. So get in the comments below who you think is winning the Copa America. And yeah, I'm not like a massive expert on South American football, but if you watch my complete guide I did about the Copa America through that, I think I got enough research done that I can make a pretty good prediction for this, so we'll see how I do. But anyway, let's begin. So we start with Group A, which is Argentina, Canada, Chile and Peru. I should also say that if you watch my Euro prediction, I'm not going to do what I did last time, where I predict all the games in the group, because luckily the Copa America is very simple. It's just the top two go through and that's it. No third place rubbish. It's just top two. So, Group A, Argentina, Canada, Chile, Peru. Now look, there's a very obvious first place here, and that's obviously Peru. Okay, yeah, I'm joking. Obviously it's Argentina. Argentina, realistically, look, if they do not finish first, if they finish second, oh God, if they don't even qualify from this group, oh my word. I think if they don't qualify from this group, there will be riots in the streets of Argentina in Buenos Aires. Even if they finish second, mate, honestly, they should do what they should do in Ivory Coast and just sack Scaloni. They should sack him midway through the tournament. I don't care if he's got a World Cup, but they should be winning this group with comfortable ease. Look, no disrespect to these three countries, but look, Argentina are the Copa America winners. They are the World Cup winners. They are by far the best team in South America at this Copa. They are one of the favourites, and if they're serious about retaining their crown, realistically they should be getting 9 out of 9 points from this group. It's a fairly comfortable group. At the very least, they should be topping it. You know, Argentina, we saw at the last World Cup, can be a bit of slow starters. They took a while to get into the tournament, obviously losing at home to Saudi Arabia in the first game, so potentially they could drop some points to like a Chile. You know, Chile typically have a pretty good record in Copa Americas versus Argentina, so potentially there, but I don't see any way Argentina are not topping this group. Now second place is a little bit more interesting, between Canada, Chile and Peru. Now, the way I see it for me is Canada have a pretty good squad. Like Canada, if everything falls in place, Canada definitely could potentially in their first Copa America get this second place and make it out the group. But it's just if everything falls in place, there are a bit of problems there. You know, Jesse Marsch is their manager, the former Leeds manager, but he's only just come in charge. He's only had like 2-3 games before this Copa America, which is not enough time to do anything. And as you worry about their defence as well, it's not the best. Then you have Chile, who have a fantastic manager in Gareca, but they have a lot of experience as well compared to Canada, who do not have experience. This is their first ever Copa. Chile have tons of it, but Chile maybe don't have the talent to do much. And then you have Peru, who, to be honest, I think Peru are finishing dead last. I don't see them getting out of this group. Peru are in a real bad spot in terms of a national team right now. They're doing really bad in World Cup qualification. They're bottom in South America. They've not won too many games. They struggle to score goals. They've still got 40-year-old Paulo Guerrero playing for them. Like, Peru's not in a good spot right now. I really don't see them progressing from this group. I think the max they can do is third place, but I think they're finishing last, so I think it's between Chile and Canada. And I think that experience factor of Chile have a lot of experienced guys like Sanchez, Vidal, Medel, Isla, they're all going to be there who will help them through it versus Canada, and I think Chile are going to progress out of this group. So, into Group B we have Ecuador, Jamaica, Mexico and Venezuela. Now for me this is kind of the group of death. I think this is probably the most group of death group you could have, in terms of you've got mainly three, I mean you could argue four, you have mainly three teams who are very evenly matched and could easily qualify from this group. Now, for me, straight off the bat, fourth place, I'm pretty certain I'm going to go Jamaica. Look, Jamaica have some talented players, they definitely do, but they have a lot of problems behind the scenes. And typically it's never really come together for Jamaica in the last decade or so. They've had talented players, but there's always something going wrong, especially at major tournaments, and I think this is a pretty difficult group for them. Don't get me wrong, they could potentially do something and throw up an upset or something. I think we'll definitely give these three teams a fight and a good game. But overall, I do think Jamaica just generally are not as good as these three and will finish fourth. So the three teams I'm looking at here in terms of qualifying is Ecuador, Mexico and Venezuela. I think these three are fairly evenly matched. All three have problems and some talent. It's pretty funny because you have Ecuador and Venezuela, who are two of the most goal-shy teams in CONMEBOL, and you have Mexico, who, especially recently, have been leaking the goals. So something's got to budge in those games. And for me, the thing that is going to budge is Mexico's defense. I think Mexico's defense is not going to be able to hold out. I've been watching them in their friendlies and they've been against some harder opposition, granted, but they've looked really poor. I think they lack quite a bit of talent in that squad. I just think, for me, Venezuela have the ability to grind out a victory, grind out a draw. They're very good defensively, and I think that's going to help them in this. Compared to Mexico, and then Ecuador, for me, Ecuador talent-wise just have a far superior squad in my opinion to these two and the rest of the group, and that's going to help them. Even if, they don't score tons of goals, I think their overall ability as a team will mean that they should qualify, and I think Ecuador will top the group because of that, and I think Venezuela are actually going to come in second place with Mexico getting knocked out in third place. But definitely this group is very even. I could easily see Mexico going through. Okay, on to Group C, we have Bolivia, Panama, Uruguay and the USA. Now, this one is a lot more straightforward. Firstly, a very easy pick for top in the group is going to be Uruguay. If Uruguay are serious about trying to win this Copa, they need to be top in this group 1, and they need to be aiming for 9 out of 9 points realistically. I think this is a good group for them because they've got Bolivia, Bolivia are a pretty bad side. Uruguay will easily beat them. And then you've got the Panama side, who are a bit more of a tougher opposition. But again, Uruguay will fairly comfortably beat them. And then you also have a bit of a test here in the USA, who are a talented team. But again, if Uruguay are serious about winning this Copa, then they should be beating them. So I think Uruguay will easily top this group and should be aiming for 3 wins out of 3 and 9 out of 9 points. And I think they probably will get it. They're in a really good spot right now and playing very well under Bielsa. And then second place, I mean, it's gotta be the US. If the US don't get second place, oh my word, that is going to be a catastrophe. versus US when they play each other. Panama tend to, give USA a real tough game. Panama are no team who just get wiped off the floor with. They're always a tough team to play. So I could definitely see a Panama like snatching a draw or something versus US. But overall, the US should have enough talent and quality in their squad for like Pulisic, Reina, Balogun to qualify from this group. Panama in third for me, Bolivia in last. Don't see Bolivia doing anything in this group. I do think Panama have an outside bet of making it out of this group, but overall I think the US and Uruguay just have more quality compared to Panama and Bolivia. Okay, Group D, we have Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica and Paraguay. Now again, a bit more straightforward group in terms of who's qualifying from this group. It's gotta be Brazil and Colombia qualifying from this group. If these two do not qualify from this group, oh my word, wow, that would be insane, because Colombia are in a fantastic moment right now. I think they're on like a 20-game unbeaten run or something, one of the longest runs in CONMEBOL history. Like, they are on fire right now. They're smacking up teams. They are beating good opposition as well. They're the only unbeaten side in World Cup qualification in CONMEBOL. And funnily enough, they've actually beaten Brazil in World Cup qualifying not too long ago. So that game against them is going to be really interesting. Brazil, they, regardless of what state the national team is in, they will always have talent. They will always be one of the favourites in the Copa America. And yeah, as I said, these two are definitely going to qualify from this group as Costa Rica and Paraguay. Costa Rica, kind of similar to Panama, they're always that team who, they're just a tricky side to beat and they're not going to get blown away. But it's a pretty tall ask to do anything against Colombia or Brazil. And Paraguay pretty trash, to be honest. I mean, these guys don't score goals. They are one of the most goal-shy teams in the whole of the world right now when it comes to national teams. And I highly doubt they're scoring against Brazil or Colombia. Probably not even Costa Rica. If they can get a goal at this Copa America, that's probably a success. But the real question is, who's top in the group, Brazil or Colombia? Because, as I said, Colombia did beat Brazil when these two faced each other. I mean, I suspect both of these are going to be Costa Rica and Paraguay, so it's going to come down to that Brazil-Colombia game. But it's going to be a really, really, really good game. That's going to be the best game of the groups, because it's really intriguing. It's a great test for both sides to, I always say in tournaments, you want a group like this where it's fairly comfortable that you're gonna qualify, but you want to get a little bit of a test in there early on, just to make sure you're ready for the knockout stages. So this is really good for both sides. Personally, I think that game will probably end a draw. I mean, it comes down to who has the best goal difference, and I see Brazil probably scoring more goals than Colombia against Costa Rica and Paraguay. So I have Brazil top in the group, but yeah, it's definitely tough between Brazil and Colombia as to who tops that group. Okay, so let's move on to the knockout stages then. So this is my quarterfinals for the Copa America. We have Argentina, Venezuela, Ecuador, Chile, Uruguay, Colombia, Brazil, USA. So first off, Argentina, Venezuela. It is an easy Argentina win. Well, actually, I say that. To be honest, I see this game going very much like a couple of the World Cup games for Argentina, like against Mexico, where they get frustrated. It's Venezuela sitting back, Argentina struggling to break them down, and then they finally get that breakthrough like a Messi magic, and then there we go, Argentina get the win, because Venezuela are a very gritty, tough side to play. I think it was actually only 1-0 when these guys faced in World Cup qualifying, so Venezuela will make it difficult, make it hard for Argentina, but in the end, Argentina with their quality are definitely going to win this. Next up is Ecuador, Chile. Now this is a good one. This is a real best. Chile can score goals as well. I generally think this might be a draw and go all the way to penalties, and at that point I would definitely favour Chile because they have that experience factor. They've got a lot of players who have been in those situations before. So I'm actually going to go Chile to beat Ecuador, which is maybe a little bit of a shock because Ecuador are, sort of outside bets to do something at this Copa, but Ecuador are kind of underachievers perennially in international competitions, so I think Chile are going to beat them. Okay, next up is Uruguay, Colombia. Now this is a clash. This is going to be amazing. But to be fair, whatever this game is going to be amazing because for winner of Group C, which is most likely going to be Uruguay, will face most likely either Colombia or Brazil. So we're going to have an absolute banger in the quarterfinals here. Two teams who are on a red hot form. Two teams are really well coached, have a lot of talented players. Honestly, this is so tough. This is so tough to pick. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. Going to be end to end, lots of goals. Really fun game. But if I had to pick a winner, this is real tough. I just think that I think Uruguay just have a bit more decisive players in that attack. Like I'm thinking of the Colombia attack, they have some good players in there, like John Duran, James Rodriguez, of course. He always turns up as Uruguay. Yasa Esprilla, but really the main guy is Luis Diaz, and Uruguay's defense is solid with Ronaldo Araujo in there. I think that with that defense Agate covering in front of them, I think Uruguay will be able to hold out Colombia, and Uruguay's attack, like Darwin Núñez, Fede Valverde, I think are going to punish Colombia, and I think Uruguay are going to win that, but that's going to be a really good game. Okay, and the last quarterfinal is Brazil, USA. Now look, Brazil are, not in that amazing state right now. You can definitely get at Brazil. Defensively, Brazil are pretty poor, like Mexico put 2 past them. Brazil defensively are not fantastic. But the problem is the US, they never really beat teams like Brazil. When was the last time the US actually beat a team like who is better than them or a bigger nation? They don't do it. Typically when they come up against a bigger nation, the best they can get is a draw. Most of the time they lose. I think that's going to happen again. I think Brazil's quality is going to shine through. I worry about that US defence. Vinny and Hendrick up against, like, was it Tim Ream and Joe Scally? Oh god, I fear about that. I really do. I can definitely see the US scoring a goal or 2 against Brazil, but in the end Brazil's attack is going to be far superior for USA. I think Brazil are going through. So that means our semi-final is going to be Argentina versus Chile and Uruguay versus Brazil. Now this is pretty funny, so we have a repeat here in this semi-final of the group stages, Argentina-Chile. Now, I did mention that in the groups, if I saw Argentina dropping points in the groups, it would potentially be against Chile because of the history. Chile typically do very well against Argentina. They haunt Messi and Argentina in recent years in the Copa America, obviously in 2015 and 2016. Both times beating Argentina in the final on penalties. So history's on their side. There could be that psychological aspect of it. However, this is a very different Chile side and a very different Argentina side. From then, Argentina are much better both squad-wise and mentality-wise. They know how to get the job done in these knockout competitions now. In these tough games, they always find a way. Chile, while they do always find a way, talent-wise are a lot worse, and I think in a game like this, Chile are going to do fantastic if they can get to a semi-final like this. This is a great run, but I think their run ends here, because to beat Argentina is a little bit of a stretch. I think they can get to the semi-finals, and that's a fantastic tournament for Chile, but in the end they're not going to have enough to beat Argentina, who will make it their back-to-back Copa America side of a bracket is producing some bangers of games like Uruguay, Colombia, Brazil, Colombia, Brazil, Uruguay. It's going to be fireworks, and this game honestly this is the most 50-50 game, I think. Two teams who have a lot of good attacking players, a lot of fantastic talented players. Two teams who defensively pretty good but not amazing. I think Uruguay are probably better in that aspect. Brazil obviously have picked up some momentum recently, but generally not been amazing in the last year or so. Uruguay on the other hand have been fantastic. It's really tough. It is really, really tough. This is a massive 50-50. But the way I see it is, I think it was a draw potentially when they faced in World Cup qualification, or Uruguay beat them, I can't remember. But I just think that Uruguay, they're fantastic on the counter-attacks, these fast breaks with the pressing of Marcelo Bielsa's system. And I think Brazil's defence is a real problem. I mean, Brazil's defence is really poor, and I think it's going to get found out in this game with an attack like Uruguay, who are so fast, so direct. They're going to stick it on Brazil, and Brazil are not going to cope, and I think Uruguay are going to beat Brazil here. But as I said, this is a real 50-50. So, bronze medal, Chile, Brazil. You know what? I think at this point Brazil are probably quite demotivated, quite annoyed that they have not made the final, and they probably don't care about this bronze final. I think Chile are going to be up for it, so you know what? I'll give it to Chile. But the real one, the final. Who's going to be champion? The American champion, Argentina, Uruguay. And if this is a final, oh my word. The storylines here. It's pretty mad, because I believe both of these nations are tied for the most Copa Americas on 15 apiece. So this would be the final to decide who gets the outright most Copa America wins and gets the 16th. It's going to be in Miami, which is obviously pretty funny. Messi playing for Inter Miami. Yeah, this is going to be fantastic. Uruguay are the only team since the World Cup, I believe, to beat Argentina. They beat Argentina in World Cup qualification, so they do have that psychological edge over them already. And here's another thing. You might have noticed Argentina, their path to the final is pretty easy. They're on the really, really easy side of a draw. They're not going to have to face a Uruguay, they're not going to face a Brazil, they're not going to face a Colombia. The hardest side they'll face is a Chile or an Ecuador. So, Argentina, by this point, wouldn't have really been battle tested against these tough top oppositions, and that's a bit of a problem. Whereas Uruguay, or whoever comes out of this side of a draw, would have most likely have to gone through a Brazil, a Colombia, a Uruguay. So they're going to be really, really battle tested and up for this. Uruguay would have knocked out Brazil and Colombia, so they're going to be in full flow and so much confidence and really up for this. But here's the thing. I just think that in a final, you know how Bielsa's going to play. Everyone knows how that's going to play. As I said, Uruguay beat Argentina in World Cup qualification, because I think that was an aspect of, Bielsa caught off guard. Scaloni were not ready for that. Whereas now, I think if this happens, Scaloni is going to know exactly how Bielsa's going to play. Bielsa typically doesn't do amazing in finals or tournaments in general, really. I think in a big game, in a final, this Argentina side have proven they know how to get it done in the Copa America. They've proven they know how to get it done in a World Cup final. Scaloni has proven he knows how to win these tournaments, he knows how to win these finals. And I think for that reason, I'm going to go Argentina. I just think that experience factor, that winning mentality of knowing how to win these finals, gonna get them by. Whereas Uruguay, I mentioned it in my complete guide, they don't really have too many players who have won stuff on the international stage. They don't have a manager who's done that, and I think that's going to hinder them in a game like this. So this incredible golden generation, which is going to win a Copa America or World Cup. They're going to finish off with another Copa America. But that's just my predictions. Let me know if you agree or disagree with these predictions in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see